Hey guys, Cameron, another movie for you guys. Reviewing. I was so looking forward to this movie. I can't tell you guys how much I was looking forward to this. When I was making a list of my most anticipated movies for the summer, this was most likely number one. I was so looking forward to this movie. And let's just get out of the way. That is a movie that I am sure all of you are expecting me to review. Everyone's been talking about it. And that is the highly anticipated new DC film, Suicide Squad. I can't tell you guys how much I was looking forward to this movie. Mainly because all the footage we got of it so far, I love. There hasn't been a single trailer I haven't liked. There hasn't been a single clip I hadn't liked. Anything that I was skeptical about, the movie very quickly proved, how it was going to work and things like that. And I was just so looking forward to it. And especially after the disappointment of Batman v Superman, how that movie wasn't amazing, I was really thinking that this movie would finally let the DCEU finally find its footing, and I really was hoping that was going to happen here. But I was also very nervous, and when I say nervous, I mean extremely nervous, mainly because of the fact of, how Batman v Superman turned out, and the critical reception that got. I was really worried that this was going to be on the same level as that, and, I have to say, after watching it, to a degree, it kind of is. It very much is the same way as Batman v Superman, but even though with the problems aside, I do like this movie a little bit more than Batman v Superman. I'll talk about that as the movie goes on. Suicide Squad in general, though, it's an okay movie. It's a very 50-50 film for me. There are things I really like about it, things I really didn't like about it, but let's get to the plot of Suicide Squad, which is probably the most simplest plot I can give you guys. Basically, the plot of Suicide Squad is that after the death of... Now, this is a spoiler of Batman v Superman. If you guys haven't seen Batman v Superman, of course, I'm assuming you have, because these movies are supposed to be connected. But, of course, after the supposed death of Superman, basically, crime is at an all-time high, and Amanda Waller, basically, she's kind of tired of it, and she wants to hire a new team, basically. So she decides to get the world's worst supervillains, basically, and who are all locked in prison and everything, and she wants to put them together, make them a Suicide Squad to take down a bigger threat, and that basically is the plot of Suicide Squad. There is a lot more going on in this movie besides that, but that's basically a plot in a nutshell. But there was definitely a lot more to this movie that I know you guys want me to talk about, starting off with the acting. Which, honestly, the acting is probably the best thing I could say about this entire movie, because I really don't think there's a single bad performance in this movie. Even characters that don't have a ton to do did a really great job. I think everyone really was fantastic here. Definitely there are standouts, but I think everyone as a whole really did a great job. But let's talk about Will Smith, because he was the one I was a little bit worried about, mainly because it's Will Smith, and as of late, he's been doing pretty much whatever he can to put himself out there and, steal the limelight from everyone. Will Smith's one of those just leading actors that kind of does that, but he really fit in here really well. I really think he transformed into this role as Deadshot. I really love this character. Deadshot, he has a very interesting life going on, even though he is, and what I love about Deadshot is that even though he is this crime, this hitman, basically, who performs all of these kind of deadly tasks and a lot of shootings and things like that, and definitely he's a badass, he still has a daughter, and he deeply cares for her, and he doesn't really like to involve her in this kind of stuff, and he's also very worried about her, and I really like they do with this character. They did some really great emotional stuff there. And he also kind of worked as, I think, the moral compass for the group, definitely. Everyone really is, they have their own morals, but he definitely, I think, serves as the moral compass of the group. He's the leader of the group without a doubt. He serves very well, and I think he just overall did a really great job. I love what Will Smith did here. Very much surprised me, and I definitely really did love his character. But by far, the standout of this movie, without a doubt, this shouldn't really be a surprise, but the standout with this movie, without a doubt, is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, which, to be honest with you guys, that is the role I was most looking forward to. I could not wait to see Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. The second she was announced, I thought it was perfect casting, and she just pulls this off perfectly. I mean, this is by far one of her best performances. The way that she just transformed in this role, I mean, you don't even see Margot Robbie on screen. You see this crazy psychotic, but somehow very seductive woman, and you can't help but really love this character. I mean, this is a character that, yeah, she is a bit crazy, but she's also so much fun to watch, and she has so many great lines, so many great quips, and she also has a very interesting past, and I really like what they did with her in the movie. She was just fantastic. I love what she did here, and she by far was one of my favorite things about the movie. She was fantastic. Let's talk about Jared Leto, because a lot of people have been talking about him and how, I'm sure you guys know, he's not in the movie that much, and Here's the thing, I can't really talk about him, mainly because he doesn't really serve too much of a purpose in this movie other than the Harley Quinn story. There's a story going on with him and Harley Quinn that I don't want to get into, I will talk about in spoilers, but besides that, the Joker really doesn't have much to do here, and Jared Leto even said that most of his runtime was cut from this movie, and it definitely does show here, and it's honestly quite disappointing, because I really wanted to like the Joker in this movie, and don't get me wrong, Jared Leto is fantastic in this movie. Leto absolutely kills it, and what I like is that he didn't try to copy off of other Jokers. He's clearly trying to do something different, and you definitely do see that here. This is a Joker that, you know, he gets stuff done, he's involved in, like, gang businesses and things like that, and I thought it was just a really interesting way of seeing the Joker. I mean, Heath Ledger's always going to be my go-to Joker, but I think Jared Leto really did a great job here. You know, he had very big shoes to fill, and did he pull it off? I mean, again, I can't really say, because he's literally only in this movie for, I think, about 10 minutes, honestly. He's really not in the movie for that long. I think he did a good job for what he was in, but I just can't really say too much about him. But then two other people I want to talk about before I get into the cast overall. Viola Davis in this movie, I thought she was so good as this character of Amanda Waller, mainly because you're not really supposed to like her character. Even though she seems like she's the good one of the movie, she's really not. I mean, she doesn't really care about this squad. She's only really doing this to send them on these missions, and I think overall she did a very good job in portraying essentially an anti-hero, and I really like that about her character. I thought she was definitely very good. I really like what she did here. Joel Kinnaman as well, I thought was so great in this movie. He has some great lines, and he kind of starts off as a bit of a hard ass, but he very quickly kind of just fits right in with the group, and I definitely really did love that. And Amanda Waller as well, I mean, she really is a badass. I didn't expect her to do as much as she did, but she really did a lot more than I thought. And then the only other person I'm going to talk about is Jai Courtney, who, let's talk about him. Okay, so Jai Courtney, you guys know, I haven't been the biggest fan of Jai Courtney. I don't think he's a bad actor, I just don't think he's been cast in the right things. But here, I think he's finally found the role from as Captain Boomerang. He nailed this role, he was so funny. I love what he did here. He, you know, the Australian accent, he never broke character or anything. I was surprised by how much he didn't break character. I thought he did a great job, and overall, I really thought that he as well very much surprised me, very much showed me what he can do, and finally, it seems that he's finally found a fantastic role. Everyone else here I can't really talk about. Characters like Katana and, Killer Croc just don't have a ton to do in this movie, and I can't really talk about them, unfortunately, mainly because of the script and things like that. But let's talk about the chemistry, because one of the biggest positives of this movie, without a doubt, is the chemistry. The second that all these characters are together, they have very well chemistry, they really bounce off each other very well, and you definitely see, you know, why they're a team and why they're together. And I think they worked very well together. I really love what they did with the Suicide Squad overall, and I just love seeing this group. I thought they were just a lot of fun to watch, and definitely really did enjoy that. So like I said, the acting here is great, and similar to Batman v Superman, I really don't have any complaints with the acting. You know, Batman v Superman, I had no problems technically with it. This movie, I have no problems with, you know, any characters or performing and things like that. I have no problems with that. I think everyone really did a great job, and there really isn't a bad performance in here. Really, I think everyone, they really tried to give it 100%, and they definitely did. You can really tell how much fun everyone was having in this movie, and that's something I really did love. No one really half-assed. I think everyone did a great job. David Ayer, on the other hand, his directing in this movie is really my main problem with this film. It's not so much the tone, because I think he definitely did that very well. I think the tone here, he definitely tried to make the movie a lot more fun. And in some ways it works, in some ways it doesn't. Mainly because it does, as much as I like seeing a more fun DC film, it is kind of weird to, you know, have all these fun scenes in what should be kind of a more serious movie. Do I think the movie should be a little more serious? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say that I think sometimes the jokes were very forced, and I think the tone very much was kind of shoved down our throats at times. But that's not the biggest problem with this movie. The biggest problem about this movie, without a doubt, is the screenplay. The screenplay here is one of the messiest things I've seen in a while. I mean, I thought Batman v Superman was messy. No, this is much more messy. I mean, the thing with Batman v Superman is that was just too long. It felt like way too much was going on. There was too much cut out of it. And this one has similar problems, but there's a lot more going on here. The thing I love about Suicide Squad is so frustrating is that there's so much potential here. All the actors are fantastic. They're all doing a great job. The problem is the script just rushes through everything. I mean, the first half of this movie is literally a quick backstory to each of the characters, which I thought worked pretty well. I thought it was kind of cool the way they did that, but it just didn't really work in the way they wanted to. I mean, I think the backstories, they set it all up very well, but once the Suicide Squad goes on their mission, you kind of don't see the point of it. It's like, really, that's who they have to take down? When we get introduced to the villain in this movie, who I'm going to talk about the villain right now, and it's not necessarily a spoiler, because they didn't really talk about her, but if you guys don't want to know who the villain is, just click away. But the villain in this movie is Enchantress, played by Cara Delevingne, and honestly, as good as she was, I really thought she was bad. I like the actress. I don't think she was bad in the movie. I think the character really was very lazy, very half-assed, and honestly kind of silly. I really thought that Enchantress was a really horrible villain, honestly. I really did not like what they did with her, mainly because out of everyone for them to take down, this is what they have to take down. This is the big threat. It just didn't make sense to me that you need to form this whole team to take down essentially just a witch god, and it just didn't really make sense. You didn't really see it in her, and they didn't spend enough time with her for us to really see that menacing side that they wanted to do, because I think they set her up pretty well, but they just didn't do enough with her, unfortunately. That really killed a lot of the movie for me, and I think Cara Delevingne did what she could with it, but there's just so much you can do when you don't have much screen time, and that's a problem with most of the characters in this movie, is that besides Harley Quinn, Deadshot, and a little bit of Amanda Waller, most of the characters in this movie are extremely underused. I mean, characters like Captain Boomerang, Katana, even, I'd say, you know, Katana's underused, Killer Croc's underused. So many characters in this movie are just very underused. Even Diablo is underused. I mean, he has some good stuff in the movie, but damn is he underused. I mean, that's something that really, I thought was really annoying, and I get that obviously they're the main two. You know, Harley Quinn and Deadshot, they're the main two we're supposed to be following. But the others that are there, you kind of forget they're there at points because we're so focused on these other characters that you kind of forget people like, you know, Katana and Killer Croc are there because they literally don't have much to do in this movie. I mean, they kick ass, definitely, but other than that, they don't really do much here, and I really didn't think the narrative really worked in the way they wanted it to, and I think some stuff here worked very well. The movie, essentially, I just thought was very messy, and there were a lot of things you could definitely tell that was cut out, especially with the Joker. I feel they should have done a lot more of the Joker in this movie. I get that this was an introduction to his character, and I get that this wasn't supposed to be his movie, but I just don't think we got enough. I really wanted to see some more stuff, and it's clear, even from the trailer, you can tell there was stuff they wanted to do here, and they didn't really get to do it, unfortunately, and it really sucks, because I was really looking forward to seeing the Joker, and they just didn't really do enough with the character, and I don't think they did enough with most of the characters in this movie. Especially, like I said, Jai Courtney's character, they didn't do much with him. You know, they just kind of did a couple one-liners, and that's the other thing in this movie. Is this movie funny? To a degree, yes, but most of the funny stuff involves Harley Quinn. I'll say that right off the bat. Most of the funny stuff involves the actors performing. The lines said are quite cheesy. I will definitely say that. There are a lot of cheesy lines in this movie. There's a lot of corny dialogue, and I don't really know. The actors are able to pull it off, thank God. If the actors were not here, I think the movie would be complete shit. But because the actors were here and they completely anchor this film and make it so much better than it probably would be, you know, it works in that regard. So I think that part worked, but a lot of the humor didn't really work for me. In fact, most of the audience I saw with, no one was really laughing, I noticed. Really, no one was really laughing. I mean, I laughed at Harley Quinn scenes. Those are most of the scenes I laughed at, but a lot of the scenes just didn't really work in the way they wanted to, and I think they definitely tried to do this. I think they tried to do too much too soon, really. I think that's the main problem. They tried to do such a drastic tone, and it just didn't really work, and I think the way they wanted it to. The cinematography here, I do think is really good. I think it looks very good at points. I mean, there's some practical effects here, like Killer Croc are practical effects, and I really did enjoy seeing that. Some of the effects here, I think, are very messy, especially the stuff with Enchantress. I mean, she looks fine, but just the way that she looks and things like that, I thought was kind of dumb. The costumes worked. I think the costumes worked pretty well here, definitely. You got the sense that they were bad. They didn't really care what their costumes looked like, so I think that worked pretty well. I definitely really did enjoy that, and that's something I definitely will say, and as I think they worked very well together. You know, the costumes were fine, but there's some real, I will say the action scenes in here are quite great. I really did love the action scenes, especially one involving Deadshot when the team is formed. It is absolutely awesome. I love that scene. But the climax of this movie is probably one of the laziest and just underused and, not memorable climaxes I've seen. I honestly, to be honest with you guys, I can't remember what happened in the climax because it was so forgettable. It was so been there, done that. You know everywhere this movie's gonna go, and that's something that was really unfortunate because the movie went in this really cool direction. Then it kind of seems like they abandoned it and just turned into a fun team-up movie. And yeah, it's kind of cool to see a fun team-up movie. Thing is, though, these are characters we haven't seen on screen before, and I kind of want to know more about them, and the movie didn't really, I think, kind of know what it wanted to be. Did it want to be a character-driven film, or did it want to be just a fun team up? And I don't really know if, I don't really think they knew what they wanted to be, definitely. I think that's a big problem. And I think had they had maybe the runtime that Batman v Superman had, then I think this could have been a much better film. And I think that's the main problem. The runtime that Batman v Superman had, you know, should have been the runtime for this movie. The runtime that Suicide Squad had should have been the runtime for Batman v Superman. Because I thought that, you know, 2 hours would be fine to establish all these characters, but it just didn't work, I think, in the way it wanted to. It ended up becoming very messy. Let's talk about the score, because a lot of people are talking about the music and how it overshadows, and I will say, some of it works really well. I mean, they do this really cool thing in the beginning where they introduce each character, and each of them has a specific different genre of music, which I thought was really clever, actually. I never really thought of that, but I thought it was just a really clever thing to do. You know, nothing that big. I just thought it was kind of clever they did that, and I really did enjoy that, so that was something I thought was pretty cool. But then it starts to get a bit repetitive, and it's like, why are you playing music in this scene when you could be talking and doing dialogue? And honestly, some of it came across as quite lazy, I'm not gonna lie. Some of it definitely came across as lazy. Some of it came across as David Ayer didn't know what to do in this scene, so he kind of just added music here. There are emotional scenes where you don't really know where they came from, and they'll add a sad song, and you don't really know why it's playing. So yes, the music at points was very distracting, and some of it worked really well, some of it really started to annoy me. I definitely will say that, especially in the second half. I'm like, alright, can we please stop with the music? And luckily, once they formed the team, the music kind of does stop a bit, and I'm happy that it did. I wanted the music to stop, and luckily it did, and I'm happy that they eventually did stop the music. But like I said, the editing really here is the main problem. I think the editing's just very choppy. The movie really became a mess in the third act, and that really is what ruined most of the movie for me. But before I end this review, guys, and before I give you my grade, I do want to quickly get into spoilers. So if you guys haven't seen Suicide Squad, I am going to give some spoilers for things that I don't want you guys to know, obviously. Some of the stuff I am talking about has been announced, but if you're not, like, someone that likes to look up, you know, reviews and things like that, and you're not someone that likes to look up spoilers, then just don't watch the rest of this video because I'm going to spoil a lot of stuff. Okay. So, let's talk about one thing that I knew going in this movie, and that is the Flash cameo. I thought was really cool. I really did like the way they did that. I thought they set up the Flash very well with Captain Boomerang and everything. We don't know a ton about this character, but I like that we're sporadically seeing him in the films. Like, each one, he kind of has a little bit to do, because Ezra Miller really looks like he's going to kill it, so I definitely like what they did there. But let's talk about, you know, the whole climax and everything that's going on, of course, you know, Waller was kidnapped, she was kidnapped, and we saw that, and basically what ends up happening there. And then as far as the climax of this movie, like I said, it's just very unmemorable. It's very forgettable. I can't really remember most of what happened, except for the fact that, you know, they killed Enchantress, obviously. They did, in fact, kill her. And, you know, there was a lot of fighting there, but Enchantress didn't seem like much of a threat. She's just moving her arms around, things like that. I mean, it was honestly just really silly, I have to say. And then the fact that they killed Diablo. Here's the thing. Diablo's a character that I really was liking, and I'm like, okay, this is good. They're developing him a little bit more, especially the stuff they did where the great interplay between Captain Boomerang and Diablo. I was loving that. I was loving the interactions between them. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch, and I really thought, alright, they're setting Diablo up very well. This is not his movie. We'll get to him in the next movie. And then to kill him off in this, it just felt really unnecessary. He didn't seem like he had to be the one to die. If anything, I think the person that probably should have died was Rick Flag. I think he probably should have been the one to die, because I think that just would have made more sense and would have been a lot more powerful, because it seems like after, you know, Diablo died, yeah, they're obviously mourning, but they just didn't, nothing really happened. There wasn't really much of an impact of it, and he kind of just died. And I get that obviously this was a Suicide Squad, and, you know, from the beginning, Flag told them that this wasn't going to be, you know, that they're probably going to die in this mission and whatever, and probably a lot of people are going to die. But out of all the characters, I just didn't think Diablo was the one to kill off. Now, am I happy it wasn't someone like Katana? Oh yeah, because I literally know nothing about her except that her husband died and she's mourning over him. That's it. That's really all we know about her, is that her husband died and she's mourning and she's kind of on a vengeance to, go after, whatever happened to him or whatever. That's really it. And then as far as the ending of the movie, I thought was really cool. I liked the ending of the movie with everyone being back in the jail cells, and then the ending where Joker breaks Harley out of jail. This is interesting. I don't really know where this is headed. I don't really know where we're going to go with this, but that's something I'm looking forward to, is seeing what's going to end up happening here with Harley and the Joker, because the flashbacks with them I thought were very good, and I thought Jared Leto and Margot Robbie had very good chemistry there. To be honest, though, like I said, it's so messy that I couldn't really tell what was going on most of it. I'm not gonna lie. But I thought the way he broke her out of jail, I thought that definitely was very interesting. And then the ending of the movie, the mid-credit scene, it was necessary, but it kind of wasn't. It just kind of shows that Waller is going to play a role in the Justice League, and that the Suicide Squad probably is going to play a role as well. I kind of think we expected that, though, so it doesn't really, ruin much. It doesn't really reveal much. I just thought it was kind of cool to see Batman, and Batman had a lot more to do here than I thought he would, and I really did enjoy that. I like that Batman had a lot more to do. I like the way that he, had that fight with Deadshot and everything. I like the scene he had with Harley Quinn. I thought all that stuff was really good. I definitely really liked that, like I said, that Batman had a lot more to do here. But that's really it for spoilers, honestly. There isn't really much else to talk about in terms of spoilers, mainly because of, like I said, the movie's so messy that a lot of things just feel like they're missing, and a lot of missing pieces aren't there. Like, for example, Enchantress's backstory just wasn't that compelling, because it just feels like every other backstory. Oh, she found some thing she wasn't supposed to touch. It ended up, removing this, this ghost, and she's now the host of this ghost. I mean, it just felt very unnecessary. Wasn't a huge fan of it, and I just didn't really care, especially because it was supposed to be Flag's girlfriend. We didn't really see much remorse or anything like that. I mean, they didn't really seem to care in that way, so that really did not work out for me, I have to say. And that's really all I'd say about spoilers, because like I said, there's really not much else to talk about. But now let's get to my grade and overall thoughts of the movie. So overall, guys, Suicide Squad, like I said, is very 50-50 for me. Some of it I really love, such as the cast, such as some of the jokes, and such as the premise. I think a lot of this could have worked very well. The movie was just underused a lot of characters and is very rushed. And unfortunately, because of that, I am going to give Suicide Squad a 3 out of 5 or a C+. And like I said, even though I am giving it this grade, I did enjoy this movie more than Batman v Superman. And why is that? I enjoyed the tone more, I enjoyed the characters more, and I just thought it was a little bit more of an interesting story. It's just that third act really makes it very uninteresting and very predictable, and very much makes you lose interest very quickly. But because of the way the movie ends, very much gave me hope that the second one is going to be a lot better. And that's really my hope for these DC films, that you can see they're definitely trying to improve. You can see they're trying to do better. You can see they're definitely trying to make an effort. It just isn't really working so far. And hopefully, Suicide Squad, I think, is the step in the right direction, but I just really want that great movie from them. Hopefully Wonder Woman will pull through. I'm really hoping that's the movie that's going to get them to where they need to be, and hopefully after that they will be on track, because so far DC's just not really doing it for me right now. Now, am I saying I am hating DC? No, I'm not trying to say I'm hating DC, because apparently you say anything about DC, or apparently you're hating it. I don't hate DC. I think they're very good. I think they're very good at what they do. They're just not, I think they're doing too much too soon. I think they need to slow down a little bit, and then things can really get on track in terms of what they really want to do to set up this universe. But overall, guys, my review on Suicide Squad. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. Have seen it. I know this was a very long review. What do you guys think of it overall? What do you think of the team-ups? What do you think of the way the movie was edited? I know a lot of people are talking about it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for Mr. Robot. Again, I know, I'm sorry, guys. I've meant to review Mr. Robot. I just haven't gotten to it. I meant to review last night. I was very tired, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.